and welcome to Sunset. I'm your host, Rebecca Tranter. Our first story tonight has caused great debate over the last 6 months. While most Aussies are willing to accept that the average family no longer exists of mum, dad and 2.5 kids, it seems there are a few in the New South Wales upper house who are trying to cling to this outdated view of the normal family. Debate over whether or not same-sex couples should be allowed to adopt children was brought to a standstill when New South Wales Community Services Minister Linda Burney announced that the Upper House Inquiry Committee could not come to a unanimous decision on the matter. Ms Burney stated that the 4-2 split reflected the division within the community, suggesting that there was not enough community support to change the current definition of couple in the New South Wales Adoption Act to include that of same-sex partnerships. Instead, the committee opted to keep the current legislation which allows single gay or lesbian individuals to adopt children, but prevents same-sex couples from adopting. Minister Burney said that the inquiry found merit in allowing same-sex couples to adopt, but she believes that the community is not ready for gay adoption. Although she did point out that New South Wales have same-sex couples fostering children with successful results. Gay rights activist Jessica Epps from Rainbow Labour stated this do-nothing approach denies children access to loving and stable adoptive parents and also denies same-sex couples basic equality. On the other hand, Michelle Kelly from St Philip's Christian College in Gosford describes same-sex adoption as an abomination. While some school communities may be against adoption by same-sex partners, there is at least one school that is using this issue to help teach students about difference within the classroom as well as the community. Joining us in the studio is Principal Skinner to discuss why her school has decided to approach this subject within the classroom. Welcome, Principal Skinner.
Hello Rebecca, and thank you for having me on your show.
So tell us, why did you choose to introduce such a sensitive subject into your classrooms?
I should begin by telling you a little bit about our school. For starters, we are considered to be a medium-sized school, although we do have a vast range of students in our population. Now this is a factor that can no longer be ignored. We cannot go on teaching our students like they're all just one person. Our students all have individual backgrounds, and that's something that we need to keep in mind while we're teaching. We've found that we get much better results out of our students when we think of them as individuals with individual needs and histories. We've also found that we need to keep our curriculum current and relevant to each student. Now this does create a little bit of extra work for our teachers, but we've found that in the long run it is so much better for our students. Now, as you've already said, families no longer consist of mum, dad and the kids. You know, whether that be just one parent, you know, whether that is mum or dad or even the grandparents. You know, it's the latest issue with having same-sex adoptions. It's just one more thing on the icing. Our youngest students were already doing a unit on families, so it was easy to include families that have 2 mummies or 2 daddies, along with the numerous other types of families. Our focus with the lower primary isn't on singling out, you know, a typical family type that is the right type of family. It's about showing students that all the different kinds of families that there are. And in doing that, we can then show students that even though the families are different, they do have commonalities. And this way we found fewer students will feel that because they're different, then they're not in a normal family.
Now here, you've also been running a unit with your senior students as well.
Yes, we do. Our senior students are doing a unit on critical analysis. whereby we've been giving them a range of stimulus articles which they use to analyse the information and that is presented in those articles. Now, we've been specifically looking at the writer's agenda and the credibility of the information that's been delivered. Now, once the students have gathered this information, they will be split into groups and then we'll be engaging in an online debate. Now, they'll be doing one of two debates. Now, the first debate, they get to choose which side of the debate they're on, the debate they're on, so they get to choose whether they're for or against the same-sex adoption. The second time round, they have to go on the opposite side. So if they chose to be for same-sex adoption, they then have to be against it for the second debate. Now, we did this for a good reason, and that was because we wanted the students to see both sides of the argument. That way they get to see where everybody is coming from. Aren't you worried that this will lead to prejudices in your classrooms? Our aim is to open students' way of thinking so that they see all sides of a story before making their decisions. I believe the more information that people have, the smaller the gap is between the us and them mentality, or the same and different view of our community. Thank you. Thank you, Principal Skinner. Coming up after the break, we're looking at supermarket prices. Are you getting ripped off?